So going into game number 6, it is going to be a score of 3-2 in favor of Bioice. It's going to be on Deadwing, and Bioice did lose that, so he gets to choose the map. So, and this is going to be yet another big 4-player map, even bigger than the last. So, Bioice did get a pretty early scout of Intense last game. Intense didn't seem to notice it because he kind of scouted around the map the opposite direction. It didn't really seem to matter in the end, as he did win the game.
Yeah. I was almost wondering if that really quick information of, oh, his natural is right on top of me would kind of lead him into a pretty fast 1-1-1 Banshee timing. But Intense is really, really comfortable with this Reaper opening into Bio. Maybe get some Hellbats and a Banshee to kind of screw around in the beginning. But he really likes doing this kind of
Intense.
solid style.
Yeah, he and like we said, the keys for him were to get it back to basics, and he really did that. It really showed well, especially against what he was up against in the same sort of Ling Bane Muta sort of style from. All right, well, as you probably heard, that was the sound of the end of the game.
Yes.
As it started, maybe need a regame here, but that just gives us more time to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take time real quick to make sure that everyone knows to follow the stream. Just click that follow button right at the bottom of the picture, as well as finding my buddy Wingnut on Twitter. It's at WingnutSC, and you can also find myself on Twitter at Jackson_R Hughes.
And if you're just joining us, this is SC2CTL Showmatch series-ish. We've done a few of them. We did a million Dogecoin show match about a year ago when Dogecoin was actually worth something, and Root was able to take that away and stash it away in the Root vault, and God knows what they did with it, but they probably did something cool. And now we've got just a fun little show match here between Intense and Bioice, two SC2CTL alumnus from Season 2, both very good players on NA top-ish Grandmasters, I believe.
Yeah.
And we've seen some pretty good games so far. I'm not sure what happened there last time, but the game sort of... Oh, I believe Bioice actually did not start the game as Zerg. Nobody caught that.
That helps things a little bit.
Yep, so it is a good idea when you're on match point to play as your actual race. So we're going to start game number 6 once again and refresh the fact that this is Bioice's game to lose here, as he is up with a score of 3-2, so he's on match point, only needs one more win. Intense has to win the next 2 to take it home. The winner is going to take home $50, and the loser is going to take home $25, with a total of $75 being handed out this evening.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm almost interested to see if Bioice, with a 2-game lead, is going to try and see if he can push the point this match. You know, he showed us a really strong Ling Bang all-in a quite a bit smaller map, but maybe some really heavy 3-based aggression. Just like I have a comfortable macro, but I'm really just going to kind of push the point. And at the same time, I'm wondering if Intense is gonna do the same slow style, or if he's gonna really mix things up, throw Bioice off, and see if he can kind of nab this win out from under him.
Yeah, I really don't think we're gonna see any kind of cheese. Both of these players are pretty confident in their play, so I don't really think that's necessary. Especially Intense being down and Bioice being up by a game. It's a little bit risky at this point. But I would, game number 3, when Bioice kind of pulled out an early pool rather than going for the early expansion, I think it tilted Intense a little bit.
Yeah, it really
and
did.
I think he would be well served to kind of change it up a little bit. I think we're going to see the same exact thing out of Intense, though.
Yeah, no, he's done the same game many times in a row now. And he's obviously comfortable with it when he's allowed to kind of do what he wants and kind of show his micro, show his multitasking. It really, really works for him. And yeah, I think you're right. It's a scary position to cheese in.
Absolutely, but jumping into game number 6 in this best of 7, in the upper left-hand corner, wearing the pink carapace, it is Bioice.
And down on the bottom left of this very large 4-player map He needs to win 2 games in a row and able to take this show match. That is the Red Terran from Psystorm, Intense.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little side competition here of who can get pink first.
Yeah.
Because the color pink is the only color that's been present in every single game, and it's switched sides every game almost, I think.
Yeah, I think Intense had it for 2 games, and other than that, Bioice has been fighting back pretty hard. He had the first game, right?
Yes, he did. But, another big map, and we're going to see what both players come out of here. It looks like Bioice is going to be doing the same kind of build here. He has not sent out a drone yet, but there it goes. So yes, it's going to be an expand first out of Bioice. This is not exactly what I wanted to see, if I'm being honest, from 2 perspectives. From 1, I'd like to see something different. And from 2, I don't think it's his strongest play at this point. I mean, Intense, I mentioned this before, he's a smart player. He knows his opponent pretty well. I mean, they've played each other regularly in the SC2CTL Season 2. So they know kind of each other's play styles, and Bioice has consistently done sort of the same thing. And it feels like, as long as Intense executes well, that he's kind of got its number.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the last game was the second game in a row that he was able to really just kind of hold Bioice back from really doing what he wants. And yeah, I don't know. Bioice is really comfortable in this later macro style, but he gets really kind of tripped up on the way there. And I don't know. I think just kind of forcing to it as fast as possible again is really not the way he wants to go.
Yeah, the thing is about this map, though, it is fairly easy-ish. If Bioice can control the early game like he did in game number 2 and game number 3, he can easily take these extra 2 bases here and very quickly get to a 4 to 6 hatch 4 base economy and sort of like do that big acceleration into Spire that he wants to do, because it's going to be Ling Bailing Muta at this point. It's pretty much guaranteed. But at the same token, Intense can do the same sort of thing if he is able to sort of pick Bioice apart. Bioice has got to be able to handle the early Hellions of Intense. That's the thing that's tripped him up so far in this series.
Yeah, there's
I'm sorry, I said Hellions, I meant Hellbats.
Yeah, the Hellbats are really getting scary, but there's quite a bit of gas coming out of Bioice at the moment. He has yet to take his drones off. I'm wondering if that's a misstep or if he's looking to be a bit more aggressive with a faster banding nest. I think it was just a misstep. So our dreams were there, but quickly dashed. But yeah, I mean the Hellbat aggression in the early stages of the game is really impressively damaging by Intense. Even if he doesn't do an extreme amount of economic damage, he really is just kind of pulling attention for a handful of units, slowing down the drone count, slowing down the third base. Again, a really fast third base for Bioice.
It's sort of a double-edged sword for Bioice, because it seems like every game that Intense has come across with those Hellbats, he's caught 2 to 3 queens off of creep and killed them. So then not only is Bioice forced to use his larva to make a ton of units, he has a whole heck of a lot less larva because he just lost 3 of his queens and 450 minerals.
Absolutely. He did go for a bit of a drone, which pushed back the hatchery again, but I mean, you're absolutely right. He's going to have a few queens trying to hold this huge ramp here. Hellions can run right past them. They could easily be caught off creep. And I mean, if Tense Micro is right, if he sees what's going on, he can easily pick up a queen or 2, and that's is so detrimental at this early stages.
Yeah, Hellions now headed across. One Zergling did spot them. The queen is out here spreading the creep around. As soon as this third base pops up, it is going to connect everything up quite nicely. It seems like Intense is like, you know what, I'm not feeling quite as comfortable with this, because he's kind of holding back these 2 Hellions and the Reaper for the extra 2 Hellions and a Medevac coming up. So that Medevac is partially loaded with Marines, so once again he's going to make this Marine Hellion single Reaper push, which has been, it either goes very well for him or it goes very badly, and that's pretty much decided the game in every series, so we will see how it goes this time.
Yeah, absolutely. This push was really what gave him the edge to win the last match. But you're right. The the amount of the next steps that come from Intense that rests on this one push is a little bit worrisome. If he holds it, if he does it right, he really is able to take a good lead. If he does it wrong, he can fall behind pretty
So
hard.
far, so good for Bioice, too. Got some nice runaround there with those Lings and able to really push it back. Did not get a whole lot of damage done. Just killed the Lings. Still kept all the Banelings and all the Queens. So far this game, he is very much ahead of where he has been in previous games.
Absolutely, way better held than the last game. A bunch of queens on the way, going to be going up to looking like 6 or 7 actually. And I think Bioice really just wants to not have a repeat of the last game, hold down the front line, get his munas out, and then just see what he can do from there.
Yeah, I think Intense is also being smart by, Bioice knows this is here, and he knows it's done a lot of damage to him every time. So Intense just kind of being a little bit more cautious with it, staying back, and letting Bioice know it's there and seeing how he reacts. Does he overreact? Does he underreact? And then move on in with it. But nice transfuses there to save those queens, so still no real damage taken by Bioice.
Yeah, very little loss. He's lost a few lings, but it's not really that big of a problem. And he was slightly out of position with the banelings, so he's unable to do too much damage. Pretty good splits that time with the banelings in position, but I mean, all he has to do is really just kind of push it back. He doesn't have to, completely take all of this force out. Just needs to keep it from poking his drones, attacking his third base, and he just needs to move his way to layer tech, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, layer is about 3/4 of the way done, and Intense is going for +1/+1 as well as Stimpack. So he's going to kind of be trying to get himself the same kind of upgrade advantage he had the last game that really panned out for him. He does have a Viking on, looks like a patrol around here, just making sure that the Overlords are handled on the other side of the map. But Intense, setting up quite the blockade out here.
Yeah, but I mean that's really good to note. There is very, very little map presence, if any, from Bioice. He has no overlords on the map. He has no lings on the map, and Intense is really kind of just free to do what he will. And I think he's gonna be taking the third base here pretty soon. Really, just start kind of getting those upgrades, getting his production really going, and he's starting to do some damage even without really doing economical damage. He's keeping Bioice in the dark, and Bioice isn't sure what's going on.
Yeah, +1/+1 is been started here for Bioice, as well as Centrifugal Hooks is about half done. So if he can kind of delay Intense from moving in until that's completed, that would be hugely in his favor. 34 Zerglings about to pop, so he is going to be ready. And honestly, it would probably be best for Intense just to not attack at this point. Looks like he can't really get in with that medevac. It's almost dead. And Bioice is moving up here very quickly, especially looking at the drone count. It's 70 to 63 in favor of Bioice. So he's at the spot he wants to be as far as economy. But also, Intense has gotten his third base up with no pressure from Bioice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this kind of pressure has really done what it needs to do. It's allowed him to get his Intense's third base up, and now he's going to really start thinking about when he can kind of push some damage in. There's quite a few Banelings here. They do have Centrifugal Hooks. 1-1 is not finished yet, but it is finished for Intense. However, he does not have Combat Shield, which does make quite a big difference against Banelings. But he has shown that his splits are strong, so I'm wondering if he wants to kind of push the issue or just see if he can really just keep Bioice still scared like he has.
Yeah, here's where that drop micro is going to come into play a little bit here. Intense trying to pull apart a little bit, but that Spore Crawler really keeps that medevac out of the picture here, and Spine Crawler able to help clean it up as well. Not going to lose a whole lot. 5 drones gone down so far.
Yeah, just a handful of drones. I mean, it's worked, but you're right. The kind of really extreme micro potential of Intense has not really been shown very much this game. A really big Ling run by coming back to Intense's base. Let's hope that the supply depot is up.
Yeah.
He actually does get turned back by a pretty large force, and I mean, this is what you were saying last time. Intense just needs some more defending, and that's exactly what he did this time.
Yeah, Mutilis here moving into the main base, but the SCVs are charged with repairing that turret. Mutilis not going to get a lot done. Does take a little bit of splash on the SCVs, but just as we saw in game number 2 and game number 3, it forces Intense to pull all of his army completely back.
Yeah, I mean, he is in no position to do damage. Some Banelings and Lings are going to come in here, and actually Intense's army is pretty out of position at the moment. A few SCVs will go down, and more importantly, the base gets lifted immediately, and there's no mining coming from the third base at all at the moment.
Problem is, Intense is still in a fairly good position. The supply is still heavily in his favor. And, you know, Bioice is over here, but he didn't get a ton of damage done. He killed 10 SCVs. That's about it. He didn't really kill that much army, and now Intense, with a 176 supply army that is absolutely brutal, +2/+2 is about to finish, is going to push across the map, and it's going to be really hard for Bioice to deal with.
Yeah, there's a handful of banelings. There's 20 at the moment. He's making quite a few more of them right now. There's a good deal of lings. There's a bit of a Mutalisk force, but some really good splits, some really good Widow Mines might actually allow Intense to take this. He's got such a huge advantage at the moment. He's really comfortably on the third base. And I think Bioice is starting to kind of feel the pressure. He's really only kind of started to work on his fourth base.
Hellbat's moving up here, and actually Intense gets the rough end of that trade, it seems like. But there's so many Widow Mines just absolutely going to be wreaking some havoc on these Zerg units. But the splash from the Widow Mines actually doing quite a bit to Intense, as well as the fast Banelings and Zerglings get up to the Marines by the time the little missile hits them.
Absolutely, but a ton of Marines still remain. Absolutely way too many Mutalisks to deal with. Banelings are morphing in, which is going to allow him to defend a good bit, maybe push it back. And he does get actually quite a big hit on them, and the Mutalisks are going to be able to push this back eventually. But
Mutalisks are actually going to be able to kill quite a few of these medevacs. Oh, they all bunch up there. Even so, the splash is over the top here. He's going to be able to kill over half of those medevacs.
That was a really big pickup for Bioice. That's something he really needs to see. He needs to see a good trade and then a few pickups after that. And that's what he needs to keep doing over and over again. He's got his fourth base going. I don't believe he's looking to tech any further. He's about to finish 2 tack. Again, a pretty late layer or hive. I'm not really seeing any thought process towards hive tech.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that Bioice is extremely comfortable on this tier 2 tech, just kind of hanging around. Intense is kind of exploiting the ledges here and doing a bit of damage here to these queens. He's killed off 2 of them so far, it looks like. Now starting to pick away some of the drones. The reach of that spine crawler, though, is super intense.
A bit of a run by here, but there is, again, a bunch of forces waiting. He does not drop the supply depot, but there's really just not enough lings attacking. He really has recognized his weakness of these run-bys and Mutalisk and is fully prepared to defend against it, while at the same time putting a ton of pressure on this third base. Yeah, Bioice is just not able to really do anything about this blockade. This is what Intense tried to set up in game number 3, once Bioice had already picked him apart, but he's really done a good job of defending the swing arounds of Bioice, which is the difference in this game. And he's having to use all of those Banelings inefficiently to run into these well-split Marines, and just isn't able to get a lot done. And also, Intense has a lot more static defense back in his main base to really defend against these Mutalisk swing arounds, because there's a lot of mutas there. Yeah, and I mean, he's going for a fourth base. There's actually some really good Baneling hits there, but when you're able to just kind of sit there, prepare, get the pre-split ready, and then just kind of wait for this second swell of forces to come, you know, there's not much that Bioice can do except for get some really good Baneling hits, and that's not what he's doing. And Intense is again going for this drop play. Would really like to see some things more in the main, kind of pull Bioice's attention apart. But I think it's really working at the moment. A bunch of drones are going down. Intense is actually taking the worker lead at the moment. Yeah, and these Widow Mines are really what's really getting it done for Intense right now. Is Bioice, if not for those, he would just be running out here and taking out this army, because it's not all that huge, it's not all that incredibly well positioned, but he just cannot run into these Widow Mines with large numbers of Zerglings and Banelings. But does get a nice round on one Thor. Oh, but nice pickup there by Intense, able to save that Thor and move it on back behind the lines of offense. Yeah, and third attack is on its way at the moment. It's going to give these Marines a real good pickup against these Banelings. You know, we were talking about how he's really prepared in the defense. I think it's starting to kind of become a problem where he just does not have enough forces on the attack. You know, he's doing work. He's going to be able to get the, wow, just saves the third base with 50 health to go. Really nice save by Bioice. But he's Intense is doing work on the attack, but he almost doesn't have enough forces to really just kind of break down the door. And saving that third base was really big for Bioice. Intense was mismarking a little bit there.
And there was a big Thor save there, lifted it up just as it was about to die, but I don't think that Bioice is going to be able to save this third base here. But the difference are Intense as we've seen these Mutalisks be working around the main base here of Intense is he really spread out a lot of turrets, which has been keeping the damage down. But, you know, now that...
Mutalisks are able to do a bit of damage, but they just can't do enough, and that is GG.
GG indeed. So... Intense gonna tie it up, so predictions come true. We're gonna be going to that game number 7, which honestly in a show match like this, is there any better way to finish it out than game 7?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always want to go to the ace match. You always want to see the players just do as good as they can, and I think we really have. And I'm interested. We haven't seen a lot of variety. Each of them have shown that they can, but I'm interested if one of them is going to get a bit of an itch to just see if they can close it out, or if they're going to see who really is a stronger player, see who can really prove themselves in a later game.
Yeah, I feel like I've been harping at this point in that to be able to have a chance to seal this out. Intense having a lot of momentum coming forward now on 2 wins after being down 3-1. Bioice has got to change his play a little bit, even going for the early expand, gas then pool into Ling Banley Muta is 100% predictable by Intense now.
Yeah. And on top of that, Bioice is starting to get a little bit greedy, a little bit comfortable. He's kind of thinking, oh, we absolutely know that the Reaper is coming, followed by the fast expand, and then some Hellions are pushing in. So I can take a faster third. I can get a couple more queens out. I'm able to defend against this early push and then macro up. And I think the more comfortable he gets, the kind of more he's opening himself up to Intense just messing with him in the final game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's... we've kind of been saying that, really the way the game goes depends on, at this point, how tight, how clean Intense's play is. And not to take any credit away from Bioice, but the games that Intense has lost are games that he's seemed a little bit off, or where it seemed like he kind of either lost a little bit of momentum or tilted a little bit. Now he's got that confidence back going off a 2-game winning streak. So what can Bioice do? You're the Zerg player here.
Yeah, well,
what can Bioice do to give him a good shot at bringing this back?
I'm not sure. He's been really, really strong in the past games. He's just not been able to really just kind of keep up with what's going on. I think he's being a little bit greedy, which is giving him a bit of a harder time to kind of like move to that mid game where he obviously really, really wants to be. It's where he's really comfortable. I think he should tone it down a little bit, really just kind of focus on keeping himself where he wants to be, kind of cool his jets a little bit, and get himself that strong mutable, that good defense, working to fourth base, and really just able to just kind of pick Intense apart slowly but surely. That second game that he did that was very, very slow. He really slowed things down, kind of knew what he's doing and when. And I think if he can get back to that point, he's going to be really, really strong in this match.